Oh. Are you awake? Was it because of me? Ugh. I hope I didn't scare you. What? What made you say that? Why would I be scared of you? I don't know, because you jumped on me in the middle of the night. What made you say that? Oh, sometimes I seem to have that effect on people. You're too funny to be scary, you're too cute to be scary, you're too beautiful to be scary. You're too cute to be scary? Is Brandon awake? Hey Brandon, you awake? We are alone in the room. Oh, where is he? Where did he go? I heard noises coming from upstairs. I have no idea where this is, by the way. Maybe he is up there. Really? Why is he upstairs on his own? On his own? That is strange. I really don't feel like these dialogue choices are any different. I heard the voices of a girl as well. I don't think he is alone. Is somebody else here? Well, yes. Is she the owner of the house, or was she lost in the blizzard too? I'm not sure. Why is he up there with her? I got the impression it's some sort of romantic interlude. Why does that not surprise me? Oh, seriously? It is a presumption, but I am somewhat certain. I like the way you speak. That doesn't, bother you? Well, I can't really see why it's any of my business. I completely agree. I thought that you guys... Oh. Never mind. This might not be the best time, but, screw it. There's something I've always wanted to tell you. There's something I need to tell you first. Yes? I'm not Sarah. Oh, I didn't mean to startle you. Why haven't I opened my freaking eyes? Let me get my light. Hi? Who are you? Evening. Hi. Before you say anything, I know. You know what? I know how strange it must seem. You know how utterly befuddled I am? Me, uninvited, sitting next to you in the dark while you're sleeping, talking to you as if one of your friends. Yes. Yeah, it's not creepy in the slightest. But if you would please allow me a moment to explain. Okay, again, I really feel like these options, these dialogue options aren't making any difference. My name's Erin, and I'm from around here. I spend all of my time outdoors, and yet my nose and lips haven't come off from frostbite yet, which is a bit of a surprise. I guess I was warning a little too long this time. This blizzard was upon me before I even realised. In the darkness, I somehow stumbled across this old house. No one answered when I knocked, but the door opened when I did, and I let myself in. Under the circumstances, I didn't think the owners would mind. I heard the sounds of a couple upstairs and was about to call out, but after listening for a moment, I thought it would be rude to interrupt, so I decided to sit and wait. Then I discovered you were asleep. All of a sudden, I realised how exceptionally lonely I was feeling. My word, I didn't realise I'd picked up a job as a therapist. I really wanted to be near someone. I didn't want to wake you. I just sat down here, hoping you wouldn't mind. Okay. I'm glad to hear you say that. I assume this isn't your house either. Correct. May I ask how you came to be here? Probably the same way as you did. Oh? The three of us were out hiking longer than we intended. We're out wandering the woods way longer than planned. I guess we were hiking, then this blizzard took us by surprise. Yes, I see. It came on sudden, and there was nothing about it in the forecast. I've never seen it get so dark so quickly. There is something particularly foreboding about it, the worst I have seen for some time. I am glad we found this house to shelter in. Yes. If I may ask, what is it that you have there? You don't want to know, madam. Most madams don't. Is it a book? Oh, you mean that? Sorry, I thought you meant something else. I picked it up as a, at a general store. Myths and Legends of Blackbriar and Beyond, collected by Argyle Ince. What a name. The clerk said there were some local tales in it. Yes, I see. I don't see you anymore, but never mind. I had a quick look through, not sure how interesting it was. Not sure how wise a purchase it was. That is a shame. What are some of the tales? Let's see. There is Aria Unending and her many children. I can guess what's unending, and it's what's going on upstairs. I'm not very fond of children. The reverse man... the reverse man wolf of Charles Bellamy? That sounds like an insult used on the internet. That sounds like possibly the silliest thing ever. Yeah, it sounds brilliant, we should read it. Farmer Stanwick's haunted shotgun. Oh man, I'd love to make a haunted shotgun. I was mistaken. The tragic tale of Leth Winters. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Could I ask you to read a little bit of it to me? Okay, why not? I'd put on my best reading voice, but my voice is as hoarse as anything after this very long recording session. The tragic tale of Leth Winters. They say that Leth Winters was born under a cursed moon, that her mother didn't survive her birth, and her father couldn't survive without his wife, that Leth herself barely survived the orphanage she ran away from, much less the life of prostitution she fell into afterwards, and her pimp didn't survive the night he finally went too far, but Leth did, however, survive in the woods she fled to and took refuge afterwards. They, in this case, were the small townsfolk of Trail's End, a small settlement that bordered the woods Leth lived in, and they had largely forgotten that everything they knew about Leth was all born from rumour and gossip. Leth never spoke a word to dispel the beliefs. In fact, Leth never spoke a word at all while she was in town. It was unclear whether Leth was born mute or whether it was out of the trauma she had experienced. And with her being unable or unwilling to confirm or deny said trauma, the assumptions eventually became accepted. Trail's End wasn't without its eccentricities and outsiders. Even with the intrigue, Leth would have been dismissed as an odd but harmless recluse, if it hadn't been for her appearance. Despite being unkempt, she was strikingly beautiful. With deep dark eyes, red ruby lips, and exquisite, if a little grubby, skin, the attention she drew from the sons and husbands of Trail's End did not go unnoticed by the womenfolk. Leth herself was not unaware, being careful not to cause or attract any trouble whenever in town. She would trade the seeds, berries, and other things that she collected in the woods, and managed to coexist peacefully with Trail's End and its inhabitants. Early one autumn, one keen-eyed among the town's gossip noticed Leth's figure changing, speculating she was with child. Leth found more and more unwelcome attention fixated on her in each town to trip. Over town, it became apparent that Leth was indeed pregnant, and talk spread like wildfire through the town. Speculation as to the identity of the father was the topic on everyone's lips, every woman suspicious and every man suspect, which, true to form, Leth did nothing to quell, making no attempt to provide any answers and ignoring all attempts at inquiry. So the people came to their own conclusions, said it was obviously woodsman Danthers, who was no one from the town who spent more time in the woods than he. Others suspect Mayor Rigby, who was known for his less than scrupulous behaviour. Even others, Father Nathaniel, who was inversely known for being nothing but scrupulous. The less gracious of the gossipers opinioned that Leth was raped by bandits, which of course she brought on herself by living alone without the protection of a husband. And then there were the overzealous among the population who were convinced Leth was carrying the child of none other than Lucifer herself. The idea was largely dismissed, at least at first. Leth was already becoming unpopular among the weight of so much suspicion, but then things started to go wrong around town. Strange accidents, spoiling of food, and lame animals, all with a frequency that made it increasingly impossible to dismiss as a coincidence. It wasn't long before the townspeople started believing they were cursed, and then they quickly concluded that the source of the curse was. Next time Leth visited Trail's End, the people made clear in no uncertain terms that she was no longer welcome. Exiled and friendless, Leth did her best to brace herself for the trials ahead, but nothing could have prepared her for the harshness of the winter that was to greet her and her newborn. The little the woods offered her was soon frozen under the unrelenting snow. She did as best she could with what she had. Her incredible resourcefulness and resilience brought her much further than many others, but without any support, the unfamiliarity of motherhood took its toll. After years of prevailing against the odds, this was one situation she wasn't going to survive. If not for her child, she may have resigned herself to her fate. Desperation eventually conceived her to seek out help from those who hated her. The journey from town only took an hour or so, but with the snow both hampering visibility and restricting movement, the sun was setting well before Leth reached the town gate. The darkness that followed was the blackest in memory. By pure determination, perhaps some miracle, Leth made it to the village, clutching her child to her breast. To Leth's dismay, she found all the public places were shut. The tavern, the lodging house, even the church was dark and silent. She would have to turn to the residents. Leth went house to house, knocking on doors and windows. Those that opened their doors immediately slammed them in her face, or berated her for bringing the curse upon them. Door after door was shut to her. Realizing no one would be willing to give her quarter, she started to hold out the small bundle of blankets instead, pleading with her eyes just to save her child if they weren't willing to save her, but none would. Fear and suspicion had left the town people cold and callous as the winter consumed them. Finally, with the last door closed to her, Leth staggered to the town square, wailing hopelessly. Desperation, animosity, and biting cold exhausting her completely. Knowing her end was near, she filled her lungs with what would be her last breath and screamed into the night with the last of her strength. Let her in. The whole town heard the cry, even above the howling wind. Then all was silent. An unnatural, eerie stillness fell on the town. No one slept that night. All were uneasy and disturbed. When light finally returned in the morning, they found the snow had stopped falling for the first time in weeks. Slowly, the people started venturing out to the safety of their homes, and then they found exactly what they were suspecting. Leth's body, frozen solid, hunched over, protecting her child. Nobody dared touch her, even to discover the fate of the baby. Finally, Father Nathaniel arrived, and after pushing through the crowd, rushed to Leth's side. With great effort, he pried the bundle from Leth's petrified grasp. The blankets cracked from the cold as he unwrapped them, but there was nothing inside. Everyone was terrified. Over the coming days, speculation ran hot among the villagers. Had anyone actually seen the child? Did anyone see a face in the bundle desperately offered at their doorstep that night? Did it even exist? The father attempted to bury Leth in the cemetery, but the people, now more convinced of curse than ever, would not let him. A mob seized the body, took it out of town, and burned it. Horrified by everything that had transpired and the people's behaviour, Nathaniel left Trail's End not long after, shaking the dust from his feet as he went. 3 months passed, and the disturbing events began to fade from collective consciousness. Even though at night people would often hear scratching and knocking at their windows, but finding nobody there upon inspection. It was easy enough to dismiss it as the windy nights, much less when all else was still. Then children started going missing, mysteriously and without a trace. One at first, then within a few weeks, 2. Then the Danthers twins disappeared a month later. Then another and another. By the anniversary of Leth's death, there wasn't a single child left in Trail's End. Sick with grief and fear, the population quickly dwindled, until finally the last few remnants abandoned Trail's End, leaving it to ruin. The exact location of Trail's End is lost to time, but the towns and cities of Blackbriar aren't short of mysterious happenings. It is entirely possible one of them is built on its long deserted remains. So if you find yourself in Blackbriar on a dark, snowy night, and there is a knock on your window, it may not be the wind. That was quite a tale. Yes, it was, and we're going to ignore the similarities between her and you. Oh, maybe it's not you. Maybe it's someone else. Did you hear that? What? There was a knock at the window. I didn't hear anything. Your eyes moved for the first time. That freaked me out a little bit. I just didn't realize you were breathing. That's nice attention to detail. I swear, something knocked. Perhaps it was just the wind. Yeah, the wind doesn't knock, okay? The wind whooshes and whooshes and knocks its mouse over. It doesn't bang. It definitely wasn't the wind. If you're trying to frighten me, it won't work. I don't scare easily. I'm scaring myself. I'm gonna... Oh, okay, that's that. Oh. Well done. You're very welcome. Right. That was Winters. That was a fun little ghost story, and I rather hope you enjoyed that. So, thank you very much for joining me for Winters. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you hear any knocking on your windows, then I'm sure you'll know just what to do.